In this video, we're going to talk about how you can become the person you truly want to be so that you can upgrade your reality, your performance, and your results. It is known that you attract to your life not necessarily what you do, but who you are, because what you do is a product of who you are. Okay? We've all heard this sequence of be, do, have. It's true. It's very mainstream. It's everywhere, but it's true. It's really is. I've worked with hundreds of people for the past 7 years, helping them upgrade their identity so that they can unlock new levels of progress, performance, confidence, and results. So this sequence of be, do, have is very true. The problem with most people is that they look at their current reality. They see they don't have the things they want to have, and they focus on what can I do to achieve that. But instead of asking yourself, what can you do to achieve that? Who can you be to achieve that? For example, you and I, we both gift a woman some flowers, for example. The action is the same. We gave her some flowers, but the person that takes the action is completely different. Maybe you are a little coward, maybe you have a little needy energy, but maybe I have an abundance energy. I'm confident. I don't need validation from that woman. We take the same action, which is giving her flowers, but the result will be different simply because the person who took the action is different. This is very important. Identity, your identity is absolutely everything. You truly upgrade your level of results when you upgrade your level of identity. We human beings, we all crave growth, expansion, progress. It's within our nature. But the problem with most people is that they try to change their reality, their external reality, without changing who they are as an individual. And they focus on tricks, techniques, on pushing more. But when you come from the wrong place, the actions that you take won't be as effective as they could be. So in this video, we're gonna talk about how you can become the type of person that's capable of pulling off the vision that you have for yourself, the type of person that's capable of achieving the goals, the performance, the results that you want to achieve in your life. This is extremely, extremely important. Identity is truly everything. So the first point that I want to mention and I want to discuss during this video is clarity. Clarity. The first step is clarity. The first step inside this first step of clarity is to know what you want to achieve. Most people go through life not knowing what their North Star is, not knowing what they want to achieve. Therefore, what they do on a day-to-day basis it's very random because they don't have a direction they're striving to go towards. So the first step is to know what you want in your life. Take out a piece of paper, take out a pen, and start writing down what you want in your life. What's your vision for your life? What's your North Star? What do you want to achieve? If you don't figure this out, then it's very difficult to change who you are. Most people try to change who they are because they don't like who they are. But that's a very limited system or model of change. I work with people that want results, and they want better results. They want to get to those next levels of results. And in order to do that, we need to change their identity. But if you don't know what you want, how are you going to know how to change your identity, who you need to become in order to achieve what, if you don't have clarity as to what you want to achieve? So the first step is to gain clarity as to what you want to achieve. What are your goals? What is your vision? What's your North Star? First step, very important. Once you have clarity as to what it is that you want to achieve, then you can ask yourself the second question, very important question. Who is the person that's capable of achieving this result? If currently I'm making 10K a month in my business, but I want to get to 100K, 500K in my business, who do I need to become in order to achieve that? Who is the person that's capable of achieving that? And again, you need to gain a very high level of clarity as to who this person is. What does he think about himself, about the world, about his goals? What does he believe? Again, about himself, about the world, etc. How does he behave? What are his habits? What does he do on a day-to-day basis? What doesn't he do on a day-to-day basis? This is also very important. Most people start doing things their new identity would do, but they're still doing things that their old identity was doing. Therefore, they don't completely transform themselves, meaning they stay stuck at the same place. So gain a high level of clarity as to who this individual would be. Who is that person that already has the goals and the vision that you want for yourself? Most people, when they face change, when they want to change, they focus on, I don't want to be this person. I want to stop having these results. And here's a very big important truth. What you focus on expands. Your mind doesn't understand negative statements. Let's say if I say I don't like this reality, I want to change who I am because I don't like who I am, you're focusing on who you are. Therefore, what you focus on expands. You will keep on being the same person. So instead of focusing on what you don't want, instead of focusing on who you don't want to be, start focusing on what do you want then. Who do you want to become then? Once you have this high level of clarity, please do the exercise, because I can see that most people pretend they want to change, pretend that they want to level up, but they hide behind constant scrolling on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, watching endless YouTube videos as an excuse not to take action. Because being your new self, being your new identity requires that you step outside of your comfort zone. And human beings don't like change. We might feel very sad and miserable being stuck at the same place, but we're comfortable. We're comfortable because we're being the type of person that we know, that we've been for the past years. But if you truly want to get to those next levels and break those plateaus that you might be hitting, it's very important that you step outside your comfort zone, because if not, transformation will never happen. So have a lot of clarity as to what it is that you want to achieve and who is the person that's capable of achieving that. That's the very first, very important step. Then the second step is very simple again. Again, transformation change is very simple. Most people out there tell you like strange formulas for change, strange tricks, as an excuse not to fucking take action and change. Most people, all the content that you watch, most of it is an excuse not to take action, not to pull the trigger, not to be your new self, because again, that's uncomfortable and we don't like to face uncomfortable. But we need to start to learn how to be comfortable in the unknown, be comfortable in uncomfortable situations or in uncomfortable terrain. Very important. So the second step is very simple. Once you have clarity as to who is this individual, that's already where you want to be at. How does he behave? How does he act? How does he think? What are his habits? You need to have the intention of being that person. Most people ask themselves, maybe this is not the case for you, but most people say, I'm like this, how can I be that person? Well, the answer is already in your question, being that person. How do I stop procrastinating? Take fucking action. Like you place the change that you want to have on a pedestal and you simply push it further away from you by placing the change that you want to have on a pedestal. My way of my worldview, my way of looking at transformation, it's way simpler. I transformed myself and I transformed hundreds of clients and thousands of people indirectly through my Spanish YouTube channel. And I know that most people simply self-sabotage mentally, not in order not to change. They think it's a more difficult formula in order for them to change, but it's more simple than you think. So the second step is very simple. Have the intention of being that person on a day-to-day basis. Start thinking like that person. If you ask yourself, how do I stop procrastination? How do I stop procrastinating? Do you think that you're thinking like the person that's already where you want to be at? Or you're thinking like your past old identity? Like your past old identity, obviously. Therefore, upgrade your thinking. Start thinking like the person that's already where you want to be at. How does that person think? He doesn't think, how do I stop procrastinating? He thinks, I'm going to fucking do it, regardless of how I feel. regardless of the problems that I might be having in my life, regardless of where I'm at, regardless of what happens, regardless if I'm tired, happy, stressed, depressed, whatever the fuck I might feel, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna act. That's the way of thinking of your new identity, Bart. But you keep thinking like your old identity, wanting to be your new identity, wanting change and wanting to level up, but you keep on thinking like your old identity. It's not gonna happen. So be intentional about being that new self. And this is a process again, it doesn't happen overnight. You can have some changes overnight, obviously, but real profound transformation happens through time. It's a process where you constantly level up internally, and you can then see the reflection of that leveling up internally in the external reality, in your external results, in your performance. So have the intention of being that person. Start thinking like that person every day. Start acting like that person every day. Start behaving like that person every day. And during this process, throughout this process, you'll find out that sometimes you give yourself permission to be your new self, but sometimes because of the way you feel, because you had a problem, you go back to your old self. Don't judge yourself. Simply go back to being your new identity. Course correct. If you step outside of the process, simply course correct. Go back to the process. Go back to being the new version of yourself. Some of your behaviors, some of your thoughts, some of your actions are automatic because you're used to being a certain way, and that way of being behaves a certain way, thinks a certain way, acts a certain way, and you don't even notice the way you think, the way you act, the way you behave. That's why it's very important to have that clarity as to who it is that you want to become and what it is that you want to achieve. That therefore, in that instance, you can compare. Am I actually behaving like that person? Am I actually thinking like that person? Am I actually acting like that person? So this is the key step to change. It's this simple, guys. Again, I'm not here to waste anybody's time. I'm not here to sell you some random shit that you think it's miraculous or you think it's a secret formula for change. This is fucking change. But most people out there, most gurus overcomplicate this so much that you get more confused and then you don't know what to do. How do I upgrade my identity? It's this simple, guys. Have the intention of being that person. Instead of asking yourself, how do I become that person? Start being that person. It's like if I tell you, do 50 push ups right now, and you're like, okay, do 50 push ups. How do I do them? How do I do them? Do the fucking 50 push ups and shut up. Basically, that's it. Have the intention of being that person. Okay? Very important. Think like that person, act like that person, behave like that person, adopt the habits of that person, do everything as that person would do the thing, have the standards of that person. Don't tolerate the bullshit you might be tolerating right now. Tolerate what your new identity would tolerate. It's simply shifting your identity. This is the power of true transformation. Instead of facing change as I'm like this, I'm rigid as a fucking rock and a metal, I'm like this, but I want to become this person. How do I become that person? You need to be more playful. You are moldable. If that's a word. Moldable. I don't know if that's a word, but you need to be more playful, not so rigid. Kids are more playful. When you were a kid, you used to imagine that you were Tarzan, that you were Goku, that you were Naruto, that you were Superman, that you were Batman, that you were Spider-Man. You used to imagine all of these things, but right now you're an adult and you think that you live in reality and that you are the way you are and that you can't change and that you are very rigid. No, it's not true. Play with your imagination. Be playful. Give yourself permission to be a new person. You do this all the time. You're not the same person with your mom. You're not the same person with your girlfriend. You're not the same person with your clients. You're not the same person with your employees. You're not the same person with your best friend. Depending on the context, you're a different version of yourself. But when we generalize and we say, oh, I'm not confident. Oh, I lack discipline. No, it's not true. You're generalizing because you are very confident when you speak to your best friend. You're very disciplined maybe when you smoke that weed or when you do drugs, or you might be very disciplined procrastinating, for example. So we overgeneralize when we say I am this type of person. But when I say an I am statement, I am this type of person, I already put myself into a fucking box. Be playful. There's no one self. Be playful. You have everything inside of you: the confidence, the power, the bravery, excuse me, the discipline. You have everything inside of you. You simply need to be playful and, let's say, set your old identity to the side and let your new identity come in forward. Very important. I'm going to discuss two main problems that most people face when they're trying to upgrade their identity, when they're trying to change. The first problem is consistency. When you're motivated, it's easy for you to be your new self, right? You feel motivated, you feel good, therefore you give yourself permission to be your new identity, to act like that person, start thinking like that person. You do the habits of that person because you're motivated. But most people, they start and they stop. It's the same thing with taking action, for example, in your business to move the needle forward. You start when you're motivated, but then you stop. You get distracted. You might not feel the confidence or the power to take that action. You might be stopped by fears and doubts, by the next shiny object. You change ideas constantly. You don't give yourself permission to be who you want to be. And you start and you stop. It's the same with transforming your identity. Most people are consistent for 7 days and then they quit. Something happens externally, or they might feel unmotivated, they might feel sad, or they might have a problem externally, and they go back to their old self. Because when you face problems, you go back to your old self because you're comfortable being that old self. Instead of tolerating the pressure, instead of tolerating the unknown and being comfortable in the uncomfortable and in the unknown, you go back to what you know. What you know that might have been keeping you miserable and sad, but comfortable and secure. So consistency is a very big, important thing with transformation. If you truly want to change who you are and become the person that you truly want to become, you need to be consistent. And we all have ups and downs. We all get out of the process for a while. Some people step out of the process of transformation for a year, 6 months, a month, 2 weeks, 10 days. But the best of the best step out of the process for minutes. So decide, who do you want to be? What group do you want to belong into or to or whatever? Do you want to be the type of person that starts motivated for 7 days and then quits for another 7 days and then goes back? Then you won't make the progress that you want to make. You won't transform as fast as you would like to transform. Or do you want to be the person that maybe he steps outside of the process of transformation but for 10 minutes and then goes back to being his new self? Because you need consistency. And the problem with most people is that they want to upgrade their results. They want to get to those next levels and they start transforming who they are, showing up as their new self, being intentional about, I'm going to show up as this person and I'm going to be this person. But then something happens and they go back to their old identity, or they start seeing the external reality. They see nothing changes and they go back to being their old self. You need to understand that external transformation comes with a delay. First you transform internally, then the external transforms. This might seem woo wah wah mystic and shit, but it's the fucking truth. We don't understand everything, okay? Not even science understands everything. But this is what happens. When you start transforming internally, the external transformation, the external results come with a delay. But if you start transforming yourself for 7 days and then you look outside at your reality and you see that nothing has changed, and then you get discouraged and you go back to being your old self, then you're fucked. And that's the problem most people have. So be consistent with your new identity. Trust the process. Have faith that things will change. Don't look for external validation to keep on being the person that's capable of achieving that. Keep on being that person. Because that person, when he doesn't see results, he keeps on going. He doesn't quit. He doesn't stop. Therefore, if you face a problem and you go back to being your old identity, you don't understand that that problem is an opportunity for you to show who you truly are. And the problem with most people is that when they're faced with resistance or problems or negative emotions or whatever, they quit. They don't understand those are kind of opportunities for them to show who they truly are and level up in their identity. If you only give yourself permission to be your new identity when things are going smooth, when things are going good, when you feel amazing, but when things go bad and you don't feel that amazing, you quit, then you will never make a profound transformation in yourself and you will never level up. And that's why you're stuck all the time hitting the same fucking wall for maybe years now or months. And another problem most people have, and one of the main reasons why most people don't change themselves, don't transform, and don't make progress externally, it's because in a way they're clinging to their old identity. They might start behaving, acting, and thinking like their new identity in some ways, but they have a hard time letting go of old identity patterns of behavior, of thoughts, of environment. You have a hard time letting go of people that don't do any good to you. You have a hard time quitting certain habits that your new identity wouldn't do, but you keep on doing them because they make you feel safe and comfortable. So if you have one feet in your new identity but the other feet in your old identity, you won't transform yourself as fast as you could. You won't make progress as fast as you could. So what I want you to do is to figure out and identify what areas of your life, what insecurities, what thoughts, what beliefs, what actions, what habits am I still clinging onto that keep my old identity alive. Because it's very difficult to change if you're halfway committed. You need to be 100% congruent with your new identity, or at least 90% plus committed with your new identity. Let go of the fucking past. You don't understand that letting go of the past, of those behaviors, habits, actions of your old identity will bring you a new level of inner transformation and external results. But you fear letting go of those things because, again, those things keep you anchored and comfortable in your old identity, in how your brain thinks things are supposed to be. So let go of all of that. You will level up. I assure you, you will level up. Don't fear this. Don't be fearful. Again, your new identity, is he a coward or is he a brave man or a brave woman? Then start acting accordingly to that identity that you've defined, that the type of person that's already at where you want to be at. So this is it for today's video. I hope you find it helpful. As you can see, I'm improving little by little my communication. Practice makes perfect. Practice makes the master. So I'm practicing my communication in English. I'm practicing uploading these YouTube videos on the channel. You'll see it will start growing steadily. It will start growing as I improve who I am showing up as in this YouTube channel. So this is it for today's video. Subscribe to this channel if you want to be all you can be and achieve those next level transformations in your identity so that you can unlock new levels of progress, confidence, performance, and results. So this is it for today, guys. Take care. Let's win the fucking day. No time to waste. Go back to work. Go back to being congruent with your new identity. Go back to acting in alignment with your new identity. And let's level up. We only have one life. Let's make it count. Don't waste your fucking life. You're tolerating too much bullshit. Most people tolerate too much bullshit. They think they're gonna live for 200 years. You're not gonna live for 200 years. So be serious about transformation. Be committed, not interested. Be committed, not interested. If you're interested, you will do what's convenient. If I don't feel it, I won't do it. If I have a problem, I won't do it. But if you're committed, you will do anything, absolutely anything that's in your power to achieve what you want to achieve. So be committed. Let's level up and see you on the next video. Take care.